and Los Lobos actually played that version of the song. You know, we think back about what the origin of the song was. And so, does anybody know who actually wrote the song? Ricky Valens. Anybody else? So, Ricardo Valenzuela did not write the song. And he felt a little uncomfortable recording it because the Spanish wasn't his good. It's an old Mexican folk song from Veracruz. And to appreciate the song, you have to appreciate also West African music. It is a tapestry of cultures that Veracruz represents. The two biggest slave ports in the slave trade, Veracruz and Cartagena. Just those two combined, more slaves were brought there than the entire United States. So when we dig in deeper to the history and the tradition of Latin America and this idea of being multicultural and ethnicity and race, it's hard to not ignore some of the untold stories that we don't hear about. The Southern Railroad. Mexico abolished slavery 30 years before the United States did. The first free slave town in the Americas was in Mexico. There's a tremendous history and tradition that sometimes we realize when we try to think about what our idea of Latino identity is. We're Hispanic, Chicano, Puerto Rican, Colombian, Venezuelan, Dominican. At the end of the day, we make our own choices in how we choose to, but we're a lot more similar than we are different. And that is the reason why this song was so important for us to play tonight. And as you saw, the video that was playing, it had different individuals from around the world, because the song is a world-based song with strong, strong heritage and traditions from Africa. And as we realize too, through different little checks in terms of, you know, anybody done the...
Que estamos pasando este tiempo tan lindo y tan junto. For those anybody who does not speak Spanish here? Okay, I'm honored to be here to spend this lovely time together. And one of the things I love to see, una de las cosas que me encanta ver, is the people coming together, coming out, figuring out who their leaders are, being engaged, estar envuelto en lo que es la comunidad, lo cívico, la política. You know, people give politics a bad name, but everything is politics. Everything is a market of ideas and energy. So, gracias por estar aquí y bueno, vamos a ver. Let's have a good time.
A ver, un fuerte aplauso. Así como recibimos aquí en Denver todos los latinos. Come on, let's give it up. There you go. I get to ask the first question, correct? I get to ask the first question. Eso. La tierra de Coquín, ¿verdad? I'm going to ask just a simple question. Esai, as my brother was saying, when I first came to the United States, the first movie I saw on HBO in those days.
Cuando gente me pregunta cuál es tu favorita película o favorito trabajo, what is your favorite film or your favorite project, I usually answer the next one. Whatever's gonna pay for my daughter's education, whatever's gonna pay for my family to be taken care of, whatever's gonna hopefully increase a nest egg so that when the days that I cannot work, I'm not destitute. Many artists, unfortunately, have had great fame and success early on in their lives, like athletes. And if they don't know how to handle their finances, if they don't know how to handle, the slings and arrows that life gives you, they find themselves on the bad side of luck. So, but that aside, I would say it's like having children. Es como tener hijos. It's hard to pick favorites. Sometimes it's not so hard. But if you've done a good job, it's very hard to pick favorites. If you've done a good job as a parent, you love each and every one of them for their own special gifts, for their own, blessings, for their own incredible combination between you and your partner. And so the ones I love the most tend to be the ones that other people remind me of the most, which are, early in my career, it was Bad Boys, but then La Bamba. And here's the thing, in Bad Boys, I decided to play the bad guy early in my career after not playing a bunch of other roles that were bad guys because I felt like we've seen this again. We were always playing the bad guy. When are they going to show us as we really are, which is a combination of great and not so great? When are they going to show our good side? It's so easy to show the bad side, but when are they going to show our heroes? Everyday people that struggle and that do things that are amazing, but don't get the headlines. So I was hesitant about playing El Malo. But I saw a way to put humanity there. That it wasn't because he was Latino, but because he lost his little brother. Because his family meant so much that he had to go after the Sean Penn character. So I found the reason to humanize my bad guys. So for me, that's been, the compromise I've made. Yes, in Ozark, I played Del, but he was a very intelligent businessman. The worst kind of guy you want to be on the bad side of. It's one thing to play a thug. It's another to play someone who is calculated, who thinks like a chess player, who does things. And I thought to myself, why does he do what he do? Why is he so violent and cruel? I had to find a reason. It isn't because he's Latino. It's because in his organization, if you bring somebody in and they betray your bosses, your family is in trouble. And before my family is in trouble, you betrayed me and my bosses, you gotta go. So I found ways to make my guys have more reason to be who they are. And frankly, to me, bad guys are just people who went the wrong way. So there's Ozark, which really gave me a resurgence in my career. That's another one that's incredibly good. And because of Ozark, I got to play a character in a show called Titans that was Deathstroke, which is a comic book series. First time in a super series, maybe my last. And then because I was free from those obligations, I was able to play the main villain in a movie called Mission Impossible, which came as a miracle. So I don't want to go on too much, but there are many roles. NYPD Blue on television, Tony Rodriguez, the good guy. That was very important to play a lieutenant with character, with morals, a guy who was done wrong, but he was still good to his people. This is, mis pelos se me paran, my hair stands up thinking about this, because I still struggle. We still struggle to get representation. But one thing I don't want to do is divide us. Yes, I am a proud Puerto Rican, but I'm also proud of being an honorary Chicano. Soy Chicano honorario, and for me, it is very important that the Latino American Chicano community has embraced me as one of their own. Because like another great half Mexican and half Irish actor who played Greek, and we're talking about the one and only Anthony Quinn. When he goes to any Greek restaurant, plates are falling because they honored his honoring of their culture. So when I played a Mexican American, I didn't play it from a Puerto Rican standpoint, which is another, but we have so much in common. I think about El Trio Los Panchos, okay, some of the most beautiful music in the past. You may not know, look up El Trio Los Panchos and you'll hear some of the most beautiful melodies of both Mexican and Puerto Rican together working. And this is what I like to say. We are a community that really must look at what we have in common before what divides us. And believe me, every day there are forces that try to divide us.
Let's continue with that.
You know that something you don't know. So we need to build networks. We need to know who we are. As a community, we have to find the fact that we are each other and stop fighting each other so quickly and so easily. We have to watch our egos. We have to develop our personal evolution ourselves and figure out, I am he as you are she and you are me and we are all together, in the words of John Lennon. We have to look at the fact that we have been suppressed as a minority, not as victims, But look at what other communities have done with their suppression. And I will speak about the Jewish community, who has experienced, years, if not centuries or thousands of years, of, all kinds of assaults. But what did they do? What can we learn? Education, culture, family, finance. Figure it out. It's not so hard if you pay attention. And most importantly, you show up. The fact that you're here means you're special. You've showed up to this. You're supporting these people who are putting this up for you. You're supporting folks who are helping communities in need. And that's what we need to do. Find out who we are. Find out our own power, but not at the expense of others. Because that's what divides us. So, a quick story about the great Luis Valdez, who directed La Bamba, who was the founder of El Teatro Campesino, where they took live theater productions to farm workers, to people who worked every day out in the sun, bringing our food to our tables. And they brought theater to them. They brought art, joy, moments to think about. There's a great quote that says, "The high mission of any art is by its illusions to foreshadow deeper universe reality, to crystallize the emotions of time into the thought of eternity." Real art makes you feel and makes you think and makes you connect with each other. So I say, support the arts. Watch what you consume. Support those who support you and grow as people. So if we do that, then we know, whoa, we're over-indexing in these movies. Excuse me, can you please write more of our stories? And if and when they do, can we show up to them? They make movies, but we don't show up. They did the Cesar Chavez story. Did we show up? Now we have the Beetle, the Blue Beetle, a first-time Latino superhero, and we should show up. We should support our own because we show up for others. Why don't we show up for ourselves? In a way, though, that doesn't say, you victimize me, because I believe that there's a big difference between the letter R and D. And that means if I am hurt and I'm assaulted, if I'm a piece of marble and people are chipping away at me, I can either let those things define me, or what I'd rather do is refine me. Let the bad things that happen in your life not be an excuse to be vengeful, to be petty, but to be better and to say, I forgive you, I won't forget, but I forgive you this time. Let's do better.
It just remind me of somebody that I
You partake in some tequila and maybe some, I have a theory, I have a wish that I hope I can put out there. If I put out a brand of tequila, it would be with an authentic tequila, obviously it has to be from tequila, but also with a Puerto Rican, I would be the Puerto Rican component, and maybe we can do something a la Los Panchos. There you go. So I want to do something that shows how our communities can come together and create something beautiful. I'll drink to that. So yeah, a good massage, the love of your loved ones, making your daughter laugh, that's my heaven. Being in her arms when she wraps them around my neck.
One last question for me. Since you brought your daughter up, she's 12, right? If she told you she wanted to be an actress, what would you tell her?
That's okay. It's a tough time to be an actor, and right now we're in the most incredible position.
So first of all, thank you so much for being here. It's been an honor to spend a couple hours with you today and to have you here and to know what you represent for so many people, to see your face in these films in such important roles. So with that, I want to talk to you a little bit about leadership and what does it feel like to know that people look up to you and You are a leader. Do you consider yourself a leader in the industry and Hollywood and all these films that you do? What does that mean for you?
Leave it to a lawyer to ask that kind of complex question. Haven't I talked enough already? Honestly, when I was a young child or a young aspiring actor, I liked the challenge. I used to have dreams as a little boy, very little boy, of speaking to the masses and sharing the love I have for humanity as a single child who grew up without his father around, with a mother who worked very hard, but always gave me affection. We're human beings. We're not to be worshipped. We are to be considered, loved our work, but save your worship for that which makes you better and want to be better and love each other more. So I feel a responsibility. I can take it if you want, but I will not assume I am the leader of the Latinos. Although people treat me like that, goes, man, you're like, they love you in Latin America. I go, the ones who know me, believe me, many just don't. Many are too busy making a living. Not everybody knows every actor that shows up, so. I don't know if I've answered your question, but early on as an actor, I saw people like Al Pacino, Raul Julia, who's an amazing actor. There's so many wonderful artists in music. John Lennon, believe it or not, with all the pain that he went through. As a kid, I had a Beatle haircut. People would call me Beatle. I didn't know what that was until I grew up with their music. And I remember hearing the song, And I Love Her. Do you guys, anybody know the classic Beatles song? And I made a connection, and I go, dun 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 dun. To our musicians out there, that's a bolero. I give her all my love. That sounds like a pure Latin, bolero. And I just love the way musicians bring us together. So my heroes have been, again, people like the Pacinos, De Niro's, the Raul Julias, actresses that are like, Rita Moreno. So many that I know on the way home, I'm like, oh, I forgot this one and that one. But honestly, spiritual leaders, people that want to be better, not just the richest person. My hair is standing on end, right? Any one of you could be up here opening up and sharing. So I say what I've said before. I let the slings and arrows of others, don't let it crush you, but just let it make you stronger. Because those who are hurting you are hurting themselves. And I kill my enemies with kindness whenever I can. All right, sermon is over. We'll be passing the basket around. Please give kindly and generously. Where's Mike? Save me! Anything else? It's like the loaves and the fishes and the bread. I can go all night, folks.
So I just want to, wrapping all of this up and what we're doing here and why this is so empower people. How do we go from surviving to thriving? How do we get to where you are and what you represent? And really having Adams County launching our fund where we're giving small grants to minority businesses to actually allow them to be empowered through technical assistance with all kinds of empowerment through the Chamber of Commerce and the NAACP. But really what it means for you, where you're at, to be at this great point in your career and have the best gig that you've had this year in your life, that's an amazing accomplishment. And how do we get people to really be on a trajectory of thriving?
I gotta tell you, this is very interesting because right now we're in one of the most divisive times I've ever experienced in my whole life. What is happening is not by accident. It is by design. There are two kinds of people. Carlos Santana told me a quote once I'll never forget. The great Carlos Santana. God bless him. He was an immigrant too. He did not have his papers when he played at Woodstock, by the way. So I appreciate immigrants, and I've been an immigrant advocate for many, many years, but I will have to tell you something. Our good intentions sometimes can be manipulated. I'm gonna come out now. I'm coming out as bi-partisan.
Me too.
What? You dirty-minded people. What I want to say is that I think it's an artificial, there's a great word I learned called bifurcation, in split of our people by saying you're left wing or you're right wing. Guess what? With only one wing, you can't fly. I think all of us are both conservative and liberal. We are. Look around, we are conservative and liberal about different things. The minute you choose to only focus on one side, you're doing it at the expense of your other half. So I want to support your efforts, but I also want you to respect, especially our friends on the left, of which I've been completely, bleeding heart liberal most of my life. But I also know that if you don't stop the bleeding, what happens? You bleed out. You can give, but I like the concept that you teach someone how to help themselves and help each other. You don't just give and give and give. You inspire those to help and so that they can give back to America. Unfortunately, we're being divided because a lot of people, and sometimes rightly so, feel like our borders are being poured through and people are taking jobs, keeping wages low, creating voter bases that may or may not be advantageous to their interests, and things are happening that are making people very tense and nervous. So let's be respectful of each other's opinions, even if they don't agree. Let's understand why people feel the way they do before we point the finger and go, I hate your type. If you're into that, then don't talk to me. Literally, somebody said that to me because I didn't hate a political candidate. I'm not supporting that candidate, but I'm not going to automatically hate him because all the media does. Think for yourself. That's all I have to say.
Oh, thank you, Esai.